Let's get to listen to John Jinapo. He's speaking for the NDC on the matter of the PDS and why it is back on the front burner. And then we'll hear John Peter Amewu also has a reaction to the claims that have come up. But it is very interesting and intriguing. And there are even suggestions reported in a Manila newspaper, that the Filipino newspaper, that the Miracle, the entity that is at the forefront of this new sort of revolution that is supposed to come to our power sector, is thinking of chickening out. Let's listen to them. We'll come back to deal with the issue of the PDS.
You told us that Miracle has the track record. Miracle has the financial capacity. So how come that 30% has been offloaded to Meridian Power Ventures without approval from Parliament and without the knowledge of Ghanaians? Then when you read the letter again, there's a company they have called Energy. And please listen, when we give you this document, look at the company. The one that owes 19% is Energy. But in the parliamentary document, it is Energia SA. And so who are the owners of these two companies? And how can a company and a consortium that own less majority stake in a consortium decide that they want to restructure it, they want to sack the local partners, and they rather want to deal with the government of Ghana? How can you accuse a consortium of being fraudulent and yet pick just members of that consortium who are foreigners and attempt to work with them? We told you that Amewu had led a 22-member delegation to Manila. We know the hotel he slept in. We know the floor he slept in. And we know the room he slept in. We have details of that meeting, ostensibly to sack the Ghanaian partners and yet keep the foreign partners. And we challenge the Minister of Finance, Mr. Kenoforeta, who has been spearheading this whole concession and trying to restructure the agreement and trying to restructure the shareholding. We give him 24 hours to come and explain this matter before us. Other than that, we shall use whatever legitimate means to seek redress.
No, sometimes, and I don't really understand what they meant with that. As an opposition party, we expect them to be extremely on top of issue, clever and relevant to inform Ghanaians. Every country wants a very strong opposition. But if this is the type of opposition that we're going to have in this country, then I'm really afraid of how Ghanaians will be informed. We've been told they are not able to read. They don't really go into research and bring facts out. I don't really understand what they mean by government restructuring the shareholding. That I saw, which you're talking about, how can Ghana government restructure a foreign shareholding? If two foreign shareholders decided to come together and form an SPV, does that have something to do with government? I have seen the letter where the two foreign companies decided to form an SPV. The whole PDS deal has to do with a local company and a foreign company. The local consortium involves a number of Ghanaian individuals and companies that comes together. The foreign companies also involve a group of foreign companies. Just as the local companies may decide to come together, nothing stops foreign companies also coming together to form an SPV. It makes decision making very easy, and corporate governance is practiced all over the world. I don't understand their concern. More so, government has no direct role in this particular SPV that is forming, the two foreign companies are forming. We have no role in it. We do not direct them to form the SPV in any way, and it's of their own importance, concern. That is why they came out to form that SPV. So how can we be accusing government now that government is restructuring the foreign shareholding? What does that foreign shareholding have anything to do with the shareholding agreement? I don't see it that way, so I am lost. I don't really understand what the minority want to talk about.
Right. So John Jinapo speaking for the NDC, and you heard John Peter Amewu, the Energy Minister, also speaking for the government and explaining matters that the NDC has raised in the course of this week. Of course, there was a press conference led by the NDC's General Secretary, Johnson Asiedu Nketia, bringing to the nation's attention what they said were very disturbing developments as the government appeared to be clandestinely seeking to do some very unconstitutional and unlawful things with the PDS arrangement. Okay, so let's begin with those of you who started, following these matters, closely even before we had anything known as PDS. And frankly, I said frankly, Kofi Bentil of Imani Ghana. Now, also with Koseka, more importantly, they were the ones at the forefront of this issue when it all began. How do you understand the point from which the NDC is coming? Are they raising facts? Should we be concerned, and why? Right. You've seen the letter they put out there. Is that letter genuine? And the content, how disturbing can that be?
Good, thank you and good morning. Question, are they raising facts? We don't know, I don't know that. There are questions about the letters and the documentation they are putting out. And I think those are legitimate questions. How do I understand what they are saying? If what they are saying is true, then this is terrible. But there is something we should also take cognizance of. Mr. Mewu says that the government of Ghana cannot restructure an international consortium, which is the other party in a contract. And he's absolutely right. We must pin that down. Because if it turns out that that is what they are trying to do, then the whole matter is settled. They are trying to do something terribly wrong, okay? So,
but they point you to a piece of evidence which was earlier interrogated. The letter uttered by the finance minister directing Akoto Ampah, who was sharing the process as to what they needed to do with the shareholding of the Ghanaian stake.
We spoke about that letter. That letter was totally improper. And that's why it's been imported here, but it doesn't belong. You see, we lawyers know about after this, therefore because of that. The fact that they did that does not mean they are doing this. Which is why I want to put a pin in that, because if they are doing this, then it's terribly wrong, terribly bad. And yes, it's fair to look at what they've done before and say, well, they are doing it again. So let's get the facts and then we can tell. However, if you have a contract with somebody and the contract has material particulars that the person must have a certain amount of money, the person must have a certain expertise, they must have a certain track record, they are material to the contract. Then if the person does not have those things, the contract is not going to work. You're going to lose money. Now, that is why we do due diligence and we go through all these processes. Now, if after going through these processes and everything, you get person A coming together with a team and say, we are entering this contract with you because we've checked all the boxes that you put in front of us, then you are fine, you can go ahead. If 3 months down the line, 6 months down the line, the person says, well, I'm not doing this again, brings his cousin, or goes to bring his mother-in-law, and says, well, I signed a contract, but the person is going to continue. You have every right to say no. Because clearly, the persons now coming into the contract will not be able to deliver according to the basis of picking that person. What I mean is this. The government of Ghana has a right to call timeout if the partners on the other side, and I mean Miracle and the PDS consortium, want to change and bring other people who may or may not be qualified. So, in short, the government of Ghana cannot, according to Mr. Mewu and his rights, change an international consortium which is part of a partnership here. If they are doing that, it's wrong. 2, if that consortium is changing its nature in terms of the persons participating in it, we have a right to know who is taking the place of who. And if those persons replacing the original players are not satisfactory to us, we have a right to say no, because it is upon that basis that we agreed originally. Okay, but I think these are superficial issues. When the fundamental issues have not been dealt with, we are going to continue to have these problems. There's a proverb somewhere about, when something is going to go back, you see it from the beginning.
What do you mean by the fundamental issues that ought to be dealt with that have not been dealt with?
The fundamental issue is that there are 2 things required in the PDS contract for the concessionaire to bring financial resources and infusion, technical expertise and infusion. None of those have been brought to bear as we speak. And I've said this over and over again. This PDS thing is a mess. It's a cancer. And if you don't cut it out, it will kill you. And I think the government should take very serious view of this thing and reset this thing. All right? Let the partners do what they're supposed to do. Look, we bent backwards so much. All right? All the competent people withdraw, leaving only one person. That is a force majeure situation. You can't go into anything saying, I'm going to give, pick people when you have only one person to pick. We should have done something about that. Then the people come in, they are not able to put up the upfront payments. At least 100 million should have come in immediately, and then 400 million in addition over the 4 years or so. None of that has come in. They were supposed to bring a bank guarantee. They couldn't bring a bank guarantee. We bent backwards and said, bring an insurance guarantee. Insurance guarantee, we are having problems with the insurance guarantee. All these things, what are they supposed to do with their done? I've not seen the technical expertise. I've not seen anything. Meanwhile, we are giving them 120 million cedis a week of revenue. We have handed them $4 billion of our ECG assets. We suspended them and then we brought them back. This thing is a mess. Look, and there's some very good people.
Did we bring them back after suspending them?
Yes, we suspended them, and now we're giving them the contract to run the system. Because ECG doesn't have staff. And PDS was in charge of the system.
The state has not taken the next step after the suspension. We're told of investigations that were to last a month. That has been concluded. We have seen the two reports from the Ghanaian, Attorney General led process perspective, and we have seen the other reports as commissioned by MIDA itself. Of course, they all raise some very serious issues, but the Ghanaian part, particularly what you have the AG signing off on, raises very serious and indicts the process, particularly in respect of the guarantee, the demand guarantee. That became the thorny issue. So question is, we haven't gotten to the point where the state is supposed to take the next action after the suspension and after the conclusion of the investigations.
My point stands.
So there's no way forward.
My point stands. We suspended PDS. ECG took back the assets, suspended the concession. After suspending PDS, ECG doesn't have staff to run the system. They have contracted PDS. Today it's PDS staff who are in the system. So we suspended them, we bring them back to run the system on our behalf. What I'm saying, I've listed a number of things, which shows you a convoluted process. And like I said, somebody gives you $500 million, your jaw is falling. He brings you money and says, take it, bring somebody who knows how to do the work to do it. And we are in this mess. And still, we are tinkering with this thing. The convoluted shareholding. And I was making the point that there are some very respectable people involved who are being dragged down. Okay, point is this. I said, this is like a cancer. Reset it, cut it out. Go back and do things properly. The contract is there. We've been through all of that. Just let the people go by it. Two things. Bring the money, bring the expertise. If they can't do it, let's find somebody who can do it. Going forward this way, we are just going to bleed more and cause more trouble. Okay. It is not about what the NDC is saying. We should find the facts in that.
It should also be about what the NDC is saying. And
that's
what it says it has discovered.
In the whole list of
things. At least when you look at the letter that they are using to back the things that they are saying, and you heard John Jinapo, as if they are doing some spy work on the minister. They know the hotel he slept in, they know the room, and so on and so forth. Does it not at least raise some suspicions for you?
It does.
That suggests that they have a credible point.
No, it does. And like you said, some of us have been involved in this thing, and I went to court about it. Because we saw the mess, and we wanted it reset. Now, I agree with what the NDC is doing. But my problem is the fact that some of the things they put out cannot be authenticated even now. Why don't they?
The letter, for example, the letter is not on the letterhead.
Yeah.
They say, why don't you put emphasis on the signatures?
Yes.
And that the two signatories are signatures, they have signatures that are known. And compared with previous documents, these are correct. So what's the...
We've all been doing this. Over 10 years now, we've been having to go around and snoop about, which is why we did right to information. I think the NDC, and for that matter, anybody, should write and demand actual information and get that information, because this country needs a proper accounting over what happened to ECG, PDS, and the power system.
Okay.
What has happened to everything, the money, and who is doing what and what is going on. Then we have real information to deal with. But again, this thing is a mess. The earlier we cut it out and reset it,
Okay, so just hold on briefly. And Kweku, you heard John Jinapor give a summary of what their problem is. From what you know, and from what they have also brought forward, what do you say?
Well, see, as you indicated, the letter, you know, for me, we're not dealing with two issues. This NDC matter,
yes,
the press conference,
right,
the issues arising from it. And then there's the more substantive issue that is still outstanding, the status of the concession.
That's right.
Relative to the suspension that the government issued some time ago.
Right.
For me, I will deal with the letter matter.
Okay.
But I think Ghanaians should be concerned about that situation. What is the way forward? What has government been doing? All these things will be resolved if that substantive matter is tackled. For me.
The sector minister doesn't seem to suggest that they have reached a decision as to what has to happen.
I understand him. I know why he's...
aren't you disappointed? Because the expectation was that on the 30th day, we would have been active, because this is very sensitive.
Those are legitimate questions to raise. I'm sure you've seen the government report, their report, the reports based on the committee, the delegation that the Minister of Interior.
We read portions of it here.
And it's more or less an indictment of the process, and for that matter, the PDS whole concession.
Right.
Am I right?
You're right.
But since then, why the report has not been publicized, released officially by government? There are negotiations going on, we all know, including with Americans. I'm constrained relative to what I want to say, but I know that Americans are resisting Ghana government's position, which is cancel, terminate PDS.
Okay, hold it there for me. I understand we have a little challenge with your microphone. We'll take a quick break here. We'll return, and we should have sorted that one out. I'll not forget where you stopped. All right, you're welcome back. Thank you very much for staying with us. And whilst Kweku is talking about some other scheming, the NDC has actually been talking about scheming by the government to plunder ECG assets through PDS share restructure. So let's hear him. What's the scheme he's talking about?
Yeah, you see, the point I was making, that the more substantive issue where I believe our focus should be is the way forward.
Right.
The controversy is clear, the problem is clear, the debate is over. Everybody was waiting for what the solution is, at least government's position. It's true, admittedly, not publishing even that report is a problematic matter, but it has happened because of the ongoing negotiations between the Ghana government, all those involved, and especially the MCC. They represent the American side of it. You know the nature of the compact. I don't need to go back to all those things. Linked to this compact is something they call regional compact. I don't know whether you are aware. If you put all the monies together, we are talking here of some $2 billion investment matters in the power energy side. Now, my reading of the situation is the Ghana government, as we speak, wants the PDS team terminated. That is the primary position of the Ghana government. The Americans, in this case I mean the MCC, for that matter, and those who support them like the IFC and the World Bank and the rest, do not want an outright termination. They are suggesting that if we terminate, we cannot even do a re-tendering. It's part of the Ghanaian government saying restrictive tendering of a sort and we'll move forward quickly. They are against it, and it's documented. Everything I'm saying here is documented. They've negotiated and come to a certain compromise. The compromise if it's done, I'm aware the Americans have signed. The Ghanaian government is not signing yet. Would lead to more or less a dilution of some of the shareholding structure, but bring in institutional representation. SNIT, GIF, that is Ghana Investment Fund, and other institutions. That will lead to a dilution, obviously. The Ghanaian government originally wants them totally out. The Americans are saying no. And this is documented. If they are listening and watching, they know what I'm saying is true. That, for me, is where the focus is. And this is the second time speaking on this PDS matter. The first was on Metro TV. After seeing some of those confidential documentations and things, I came to the conclusion firmly that the executive, that's the government of the day, should engage the minority. It could be within the framework of Parliament, the Parliamentary Subcommittee on Mines and Energy and Finance, the Joint Committee that dealt with all these things till it got to this culmination. Or it could be even bringing in the main leadership of the opposition NDC. Because look, we need to take a national approach on this matter. This government is resisting external dictate and influence on how to go forward with the PDS.
Will it succeed? Because they are the one bringing you the $500 million for this project.
The government is walking a tightrope. But you can succeed if you mobilize a national consensus behind you. Proper understanding. And that's why I made a point that they should engage constructively.
Where you suggest that there may even not be the opportunity of a renegotiation or retendering of the process, don't you think that they will throw in the clause that suggests that you are already running out of time? And if you had not done this, the money would not have come.
That's what they have done. They're saying all those things. You are done right. They are saying all those things. That's why they said, look, the option of retendering, whether restrictive or is out.
So that if this fails, we take our money.
Yes, they
nothing
said,
has happened.
No compact. It dies. The regional compact too cancelled.
Really?
Yes, and this are documented.
Quick.
Okay. Wait, Kobe.
Sorry.
Wait. Just note that particular point.
Okay,
yes.
So that's where we are. You solve this, getting the nation behind you. Whatever the errors of judgment and things that occurred previously, we need a way forward. We need to solve the matter. And that's my position. But you see, that's the substantive thing. But you know, that's not what we are discussing. It's the subject matter.
But let's conclude this. Obviously, this is going to be protracted. And so the hint you are giving us is that we should not be expecting government communication on a decision taking anytime soon.
Because, well, I cannot give an answer directly to that as to the timing of government decision making. But I'm aware that there's a stalemate. And it's because the Ghanaian government is actually not happy with even the compromise that has been put in place. There's a compromise. I've seen the Americans, they have signed theirs. The Ghanaian government has refused to sign. This should have happened yesterday. And it didn't happen. Because the Ghanaian government thinks that, look here, what we found out as irregular or fraudulent
material breach,
yes, must inform the decision to terminate,
right.
Or even if not terminate, remove certain characters from it or dilute their share. And that is the dilution then comes with the institutional representation, which are Ghanaian. The American's view is that let me conclude.
Hold on, let's listen to that.
The American view is that, look, institutional representation means, this doesn't mean, it's not synonymous with private sector participation.
So the letter that came the individuals will phase out. That will mean that the opposition or the critics may not have an issue to raise any longer, because their major issue has been that you are simply taking our asset and giving it to your people, your party people, individuals.
Well, you see what? That one was a myth. Take it from me. But you see, politics and propaganda is allowed, can say anything. It's hard facts and actions that prove whether indeed that myth has any value. It's a myth. Even the individuals in here now, at the present, that structure, none of them is government sponsored. And that's why they are suffering now. After the detection of the irregularities and fraud. They're not sponsored by the regime administration. Take it from me. Same way, that's why some of them are resisting this process. They are resisting it. They don't think it's in their interest. Because of course, either they are totally ejected from the scene or their shares are diluted. Either way, they think it's not fair to them.
But
and some are even contemplating.
Even the investigations will show and suggest rather difficult to controverse.
Look, one of them has even written
that they had the support of whoever matters. Otherwise, we will not have tolerated them the many times they fail to do the necessary things to be able to get the contract.
You need to read more.
And where money appeared to have been shifted from. You say you are bringing in some amount of money, and then you pick money as they showed. You pick money from the entity you are coming to take over from, and then turn back to say you are paying it as your share or
I'm not for one moment underestimating the value of the point you are making. I won't do that. It's all part of the problem where we are, the challenge we are confronted with. But I say that we've moved beyond that.
And you said one of them has written that.
Indeed, one of the Ghanaian shareholders has even written to the effect that he wants to pull out. Some time ago, I won't mention the name for now, but it's there, okay? And for that matter, what I hear from the grapevine is that the foreign group, is it Meralco?
Yeah.
Yes, trying to buy them out. That's the suspicion. The Ghana government is not interested in any of those things.
Meralco is also reported in the Philippines.
No, but you see, Meralco,
by major national,
I thought, I was going to deal with that when we deal with this NDC letter.
It's contemplating getting out.
So please, whilst what I've dealt with is not, for me, my understanding was not the subject matter. But I think that's where the focus should be for the nation.
Yeah.
Then DC held a press conference and they produced this letter.
Right.
See, this letter is problematic. There's no corporate address. There is no letterhead. They didn't copy their partners. That is the other partners in the concession. You know, the letter was misdirected to a wrong destination. It shouldn't have gone to MEDA. It should have gone to at least the Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Energy, or the Energy Commission. So this letter is problematic, but it is factual. It's authentic. That's the interesting observation. Oh, it is. It is.
The content.
Yeah, the content. That's what I mean.
The letter is not. This letter,
well, you are the lawyer, so maybe I should take education from you. What I mean is that the contents are factual. They represent truly the views of the signatories, who are themselves part of the concession.
Meridian Power Ventures Limited and Energy.
Yes, they are. The Energy, I suspect, is typo. I believe
NDC thinks this is not a typo.
No, they can check.
And that,
see,
it's supposed to be Energia, and now it ends with GY, and they believe that this is
look,
this is serious.
I won't waste too much intellectual
some entity
energy.
is being replaced clandestinely.
Where is the replacement? First of all, I said, see, have you seen the shareholding structure of this concession?
The structure as it is now, yes.
Yes. Which names are there?
Okay, let me go bring up.
Otherwise, see.
The shareholders.
Okay, yeah, you open yours.
This is a shareholder agreement.
Yes, yes, that's what I mean.
Not the structure.
No, I said the shareholders agreement.
Okay, so
do you have the agreement? Shareholders agreement? Oh, this is a new shareholder agreement which has been done.
Okay. Yeah.
So something is looking through the wrong document. That's what I'm doing.
No. We know we have dealt with this matter here. So please.
See, but
yeah.
it's
We have dealt with, and we know each of the parties that have been involved.
Yes, this shareholders agreement
and I'm just looking for.
is
Yes,
entered
go
into
ahead.
this day, 31st day of January 2019.
Okay.
And the people here are Meridian Power Ventures.
Correct.
Am I right?
That's correct.
TG Energy Solutions.
That's correct.
But of significance is the Meridian Power Ventures. I'm not sure I should go through the whole thing. But what it means is that it is not this letter that is bringing the name Meridian Ventures, Power Ventures, to the fore in the first place.
Okay.
Official records and documentation. Any diligent research will point to the fact that Meridian Power Ventures Limited is listed as a shareholder. And then there is this parliamentary document that is, it wasn't part of what was submitted to Parliament. It appears it was a briefing that was given to the parliamentary subcommittees on mines and energy and finance. My own checks, and this was held at the Moving Peak Hotel on July 11th.
So as constituted as we knew it, Meridian Power Ventures Limited, 30%, that's, and then Energia SA, 19%. Then you have the three Ghanaian firms, TG Energy Solutions, 18%, GTS Engineering Ghana Limited, 10%, and TBK Ghana Limited, 10%.
Yeah. So Meridian, the point I'm making is that Meridian Ventures already documented in official records. This, I'm not justifying whatever they did. I'm just saying that for the first time, it was documented in official records.
Okay.
It is not the NDC press conference. Maybe they didn't know, and they were right to question and raise the issue. But official records, before the transaction closed, and they were to submit their registration documents and things, all these things were required of them. And it came up that Meralco was sponsoring Meridian Ventures as a special purpose vehicle for them to take part in this transaction. Meralco owns Meridian Power Ventures 100%. This document, which is dated 11 July 2018.
The shareholding structure.
Yes, then the shareholding structure is here. This was a brief to the committee, to a joint committee. And I have to be very honest with you, my checks show that it is not all the members of the committee that were present. I've asked, and because I want to be very diligent and fair, I've asked for the list of the attendees. But this happened July 11th, 2018. Parliament approved the transaction, I think July 24th, 2018. The memo and committee's report are dated, I think, July 14th. The committee's report is dated July 14th. The memo was dated, it was signed by Abuasha Jaku on his part, July 3rd. Right. Kenofurata signed his July 4th. Now, I've checked the Hansard. I don't see anywhere in the deliberations anybody contesting the idea that Manila Electric Company, nationality Filipino, its SPV name is Meridian Power Ventures, place of registration Hong Kong, number of shares 600,000, 30%. I'm not a lawyer, and that's where the legal minds can come and debate. As far as I'm concerned, I've heard people suggest that this approach insulates Meralco from any liability in case there's any problem, and that it is Meralco's financial and technical capability that ensured that they got a 30% or became part of the concession. With my uneducated perspective, I was asking, truly, can Meralco distance itself from Meridian Ventures? It owns it 100%. Its technical and financial capability, I thought within the context of this transaction, obviously, is what is backing Meridian. So I've been asking, have they really offloaded their shares to Meridian? Or Meridian is representing Meralco here as a special purpose vehicle? This one is lawyers. I'm being very honest that it is an uneducated understanding. Perhaps I could be helped by you good lawyers here.
So your point clearly is that whilst the NDC's letter, the letter that the NDC intercepted and showed all of us, may contain, maybe authentic,
it is
misdirected, and
not the NDC misdirecting
it.
Yes,
those who authored it.
Yes, and the purpose, they were talking of suspension of the PDS concession. Of course, it's an issue.
Right.
The government still maintains the suspension.
All right.
No.
Okay.
Then resolution of the issue on the demand guarantee. It's still part of the negotiations going on.
Thank you. Now let's hear the NDC that raised the issue, even though we have heard them all through the week, get to appreciate, also particularly in the light of the disclosures that Kweku has made as to the way forward. Kofi, in 2 minutes, what's the reaction you wanted to make? Then we'll hear Sami Gyamfi.
Good. So there's a central issue, what to do with the present concession. Kweku was making a point about the fact that the government is trying to move in a certain direction. The Americans are resisting it. Here is the issue. The government is trying to use more or less state-controlled or state institutions to take over something, which essentially goes back to government control. I'm saying this is important because we shouldn't be looking at that one option only. When we were arguing this matter, we said something. We said that, look, the 51% that was declared was the fundamental reason why some of the bidders withdrew. Before the 51%, it was a minimum of 20%. What that means is that you can go all the way from 20% upwards. Our suggestion is that it will be acceptable to the Americans if we agree that the people who withdrew because of the 51% should come back. And we know them already. We know their bona fides. We've gone through their bidding documents and everything. My point is this. It should never be, we should all be interested that this ECG thing doesn't go back to government control. Let us call back the people who withdrew because of the 51%. Drop down the 51%, not to put it away, but say that if you can do more than 20% local, do it. But otherwise, let these credible people come and let the concession continue.
Maybe
in short,
credible people are
well, yes. So I'm saying that is what we should do because we started talking about this early. That is what we should do now.
Have they terminated the court process?
Which court process?
Or was it
the
an
one
arbitration process? No, not you.
Which court process?
One of them is in court.
So my point is that we should stop
all your reference you are making, bringing back whoever you are making, your reference is to the BST, right?
Not BXC alone. There was BXC, CH Group also, and one other.
Okay.
My point is we got to a point that 51% was a deal breaker.
Okay.
We need to go back. Instead of presenting the Americans just another state capture venture, which they won't take.
Thank you. Yes. Sami, let's try to understand.
Thank you very much. I will address the issue about the way forward, which was introduced by Uncle Kweku Bako. But first of all, let me deal with the pressing issue of our press conference. And let me indicate that for us in the NDC, this PDS issue is a very serious matter because it is about the assets, the 22 billion Ghana cedis worth of assets of a very key state entity, ECG, and for that matter, the interest of Ghana. And that is why we keep going back to this issue, because we know what is at stake and what Ghana stands to lose if the ECG concession is not managed well. In the press conference we held on Thursday, we raised 3 pertinent issues. One has to do with the way forward. I'll talk about that. And government's definite silence on the FTI report it commissioned and its own investigative findings. That was number 1. The second issue had to do with certain clandestine efforts between the government of Ghana and some shareholders of PDS to restructure PDS on the blind side of Parliament. And that too I will explain. And the third one has to do with new revelations in showing some underhand dealings which our government has acquiesced or consented to, and which jeopardize the access of ECG and the interest of Ghana. And that is where this 14th October 2019 letter comes in. And so Samson, I'll start with that. Now, as we speak now, facts are sacrosanct. There is no question about the authenticity of this letter, which we published during our press conference. I have listened to the spokesperson of the Ministry of Energy, Nana Damwa, on Metro TV just yesterday. I have listened to an interview granted by the Minister of Energy himself. And they have all admitted the fact that this document is factual, it is authentic. This is a letter which was written. Whether it was written well or not is none of our business. It is an official document. We didn't utter it. So let us set that record straight and then proceed from here. Now, what is our bone of contention? When Ghana decided in 2014 to implement the ECG financial and operational turnaround project to improve on the efficiency and profitability of ECG, we decided to select a private partner, Samson, through an international competitive bidding process. Now, from that time till the bid process was concluded, the consortium we have always known of is what is described by the records as the Miracle-led consortium of investors. That consortium was led by Miracle, that's the Manila Electric Company of the Philippines, made up of Energia SA, which is based in Angola, made up of other 4 Ghanaian partners, TG Energy Solutions, GTS Engineering, Santa Baron Ventures, and so on. We assessed, like my brother here said, the financial and technical capacity of this Miracle-led consortium on a 60-40 basis. 40% financial capacity, 60% technical. And we were convinced of the ability and capacity to deliver and turn around the fortunes of ECG. For which reason, MIDA approved them as the most preferred bidders. MIDA gave the approval somewhere April 2018. The Cabinet of Ghana, based on documents that I have here, approved the deal on the 16th of June 2018. In all this, through the request for qualification process, all the way to request for proposal, all the way to the evaluation, processes, till the process was concluded, there was nothing like Meridian Power Ventures, there was nothing like Santa Power Limited, and there was nothing like GTS Power Limited. What we knew, the companies who bidded and used their financial and technical capacity to win the bid was Miracle, GTS Engineering and not Power Limited, Santa Baron Ventures and not Santa Power Limited, and so on. And in nowhere in the cabinet approval, the approval by MIDA, the approval by Parliament, the memorandum, the joint memorandum by the Minister of Energy, Boakye Jakon, and Ken Ofori-Atta, a copy of which I have here, the report of the Joint Committee on Finance and Mines and Energy on the deal, a copy of which I have here, the Parliamentary Hansard, which records what actually transpired on the 24th of July when the agreement was considered and approved by Parliament. Nowhere are any of these new companies we have discovered mentioned. Nowhere in these documents.
Okay, so we are going back to the old argument.
No.
No, we should be moving forward with the new discovery.
No, I'm coming there. Because we need to establish this point first. Because there are serious issues there.
Okay.
Serious fundamental
do that
issues.
Quick, because John Jinapo has been at this since when the demand guarantee issue came up, and about how he felt that there ought to have been recourse back to Parliament even before these other entities.
We are dealing with the specific issue about Meridian, which the Minister of Energy is disputing, and they are claiming that Parliament was in the known, and they have they produced this document which Uncle Kwekubako has referred to, talking about the so-called presentation which happened at Moving Pick to show that Parliament was in the know.
Okay, so proceed.
I am saying that this is the joint memorandum which went to Parliament, Samson, from Ejakon and Ken Ofori-Atta. You read page 12.
3rd July.
3rd and 4th, signed by them.
Okay.
You read it, it says Ghana is pursuing, it said the private sector consortium has been selected through a transparent and competitive tender consists of Manila Electric Company, Miracle, GTS Engineering Services, TG Energy Solutions, Energia AC. No SPV is mentioned here, no Meridian. You check the reports of the committee, page 12 of the report, a copy of which I have here. The shareholders of the consortium are listed. Manila again, Energia SA. In no part of any of these official documents is it even contemplated that these shareholders who bidded with their technical and financial capacity can form SPVs and cede their shares to those SPVs. You know why it is important? It is trite law that even though a special purpose vehicle is a subsidiary of the parent company, it has a separate, distinct legal personality from that parent company. It cannot, for example, raise capital on the balance sheet of the parent company. And the parent company is not bound. As a matter of fact, the primary reason for forming special purpose vehicle is to isolate a parent company from risk. You understand? So, for example, we have this agreement with the Miracle-led consortium. Every year, they are supposed to inject an amount of about $100 million into the assets of ACG. Miracle has 30% share according to the documents which were approved by Parliament. And so at least we'll have to provide $30 million every year. We have assessed their financial capacity and we say they can do that. Now, Miracle forms another SPV unknown to Parliament, not approved by Parliament, with no track record. This SPV was formed on 26th of June 2018, after MEDE's approval, after Cabinet's approval. But at least before Parliament approved the deal on 24th July, these SPVs were in existence because they were incorporated on 26th of June. The approval was 24th July. Why was Parliament deceived that the shareholding structure of that consortium included Miracle, Santa Baron Ventures, and so on, when on the other hand, it was Meridian? Because you check the shareholding structure of PDS today, and Miracle is not a shareholder. But all this while, our Parliament thought that Miracle is a shareholder. Santa Baron Ventures is not a shareholder. Now, whereas Miracle had the financial capacity, for example, to inject $30 million every year, we cannot say the same for Meridian Power Ventures, a company incorporated only as early as 26th June 2018. Again, if in case of default, Ghana wants to pursue legal action against Miracle, because we know they are a world-class company based in the Philippines, Nigeria, and other countries, and all the other partners, we cannot go after them because their shares have been assumed by a separate and distinct entity. Now, Mr. Baku says that, oh, but he's heard, that Miracle has 100% shares. You know that all these SPVs were formed on the same day, 26th of June. That is one very strange feature. Santa Baron formed Santa Power on 26th. Miracle formed Meridian on 26th. GTS formed GTS Power on 26th. Now, the argument is that...
Sometimes there's nothing strange about
the
that.
argument is that, oh, but they owe 100% shares. But we know that Meridian Power Ventures is a limited liability company. Same for Santa Power Limited and all the other companies. And so the liabilities of the shareholders are limited to the value of their shares. In simple terms, their liability is limited to the unpaid value on the nominal value of their shares. And so it's like Ghana government forming ESLA PLC. Even though Ghana government is the 100% shareholder of ESLA PLC, if people lend to ESLA PLC like they went on the bond market, raise energy bonds right now, and ESLA PLC defaults, you cannot pursue Ghana government. You can only pursue ESLA PLC because the company is distinct from its shareholders. You can only come after us to the extent of the money we have injected in there. And you can only come after our assets when the veil of incorporation is lifted under exceptional circumstances. And so this is where we stand now, the mess we find ourselves in now. We have given a 22 billion asset to PDS. They were supposed to bring a bank guarantee. We watered that down to an insurance guarantee. Changed it from a condition precedent to a condition subsequent. They brought the insurance guarantee. According to the Minister of Energy, that guarantee is fraudulent. According to our court and government-owned investigative findings, a copy of which I have here, that guarantee is defective. So now no valid guarantee. In default, you have no security to fall on. the best you can do is to go after shareholders. Now, the big shareholders whose financial and technical capacity were considered by Parliament on the basis of which we awarded ECG to them have all exited the transaction, have brought in SPVs, which are separate and distinct from them, to exculpate themselves from any liability which may occur. Some say, my question is, what is Miracle scared of? What is Santa Baron Ventures scared of? What is GTS Engineering scared of? Why will you use your financial and technical capacity to win a contract? And on the blind side of Parliament, because in none of these documents is it indicated that they are going to form SPVs. You go and form SPVs, use SPVs to incorporate another SPV, which is PDS. So now you can't go after PDS, they will have no guarantee. You want to go after shareholders, you only have shells. Because you know that the capitalization of SPVs, and Senior will know this, always involves a small amount of equity and a large amount of debt. It is deliberately done so that the parent company can escape from liability. This is the mess we find ourselves in. Now they bring this presentation. Peter Mewu brings this presentation that he claims he did at Moving Pick. We are challenging Samson. Parliament is a house of records. If indeed that meeting at Moving Pick was a meeting of the Parliamentary Select Committee on Mines and Energy and Finance, we are daring them. They should produce the minutes of that meeting and the attendance sheet. Because I've checked with our ranking members and all our members on the committee.
Which presentation are you referring to?
This presentation, this one, which they are exhibiting or they are producing, they are referring to as evidence of the fact that Parliament was in the know.
The presentation of the shareholding structure that Kuku had just referred to. You are saying that Amewu says this was consummated at Movenpick.
Yes, and so we cannot say we are not aware.
And you cannot say you are not aware.
It was presented to Parliament.
Okay.
Yes, he says it was presented.
You are saying like Kuku also is seeking that he wants to know the attendance.
That's the first point there.
Okay.
The second point is that here is that even if we grant them that this presentation was done, a presentation is not synonymous with parliamentary approval. So to just bring a document, presentation by Eson Benjamin, and say that we presented something to a Parliamentary Select Committee at Moving Pick. You have no evidence to show, no pictures, no attendance sheet, no minutes. You want us to take that, okay, we'll grant you that. Where is the evidence of approval and not mere presentation? Number two, you see, I would have thought that having found themselves in the pitch they are currently in because of their lies, they would have, amended their ways, speak the truth, apologize to Ghanaians so that we can all forge ahead. But they are lying and digging themselves deep into the pit they find themselves in. Because you see, this document they have brought, a copy of which Mr. Bako has here, Samson, even exposes more fraud. This presentation was done on July 11th, isn't it? Look at the shareholding structure they are talking about. They say we don't read. Look at the shareholding structure. Let me just get a table, which Amewu.
The shareholding structure is on the face of it.
If I can get this document, let me show you the shareholding structure.
Yeah. Page 8.
Page 8, good.
Yeah.
Now, look, Energia SA, GTS Engineering, Manila, Santa Baron, TG. How many shares? 28. Good. Now, this is the Parliamentary Hansard. Okay? This is the Parliamentary Hansard. This is what went to Parliament. It was laid in Parliament, you can see here, on the 10th of July. What was laid was a concession agreement between the government of the Republic of Ghana and the consortium led by Manila. Meridian was in existence, but Meridian was not stated. They stated Manila, not knowing that they are secretly incorporated the company and used Meridian, not disclosing that to Parliament. Now, this was presented 10th July, a day before this presentation. Look at the shareholding structure they presented to Parliament. Manila, TG Energy Solutions, 18%. They introduced another shareholder called TDK, owned by Seconds, and you know who he's related to, 10%. How can you present a document to Parliament on the 10th with one shareholding structure? 10% for TDK, 18% for TG. A day after, MIDA headed by his own Benjamin, says he went to Movenpick and did his own presentation with a different shareholding structure that doesn't include TBK.
Okay, so
that's
where I say you are going back to what
so the point I'm making here, I'm just concluding on this first point, and I'll go to the way forward.
Particularly on the part of your letter that raises not only suspicions for you, but concrete matters of the government scheming to, as it were, what did you say? You used a certain expression.
Plunder the assets or jeopardize the assets of ECG.
Okay.
So in conclusion on this matter, the point is, by the government of Ghana consenting to this illegal SPV arrangements by Miracle, Santa Engineering, Santa Baron Ventures, GTS Engineering and all that, they have made it difficult or impossible for Ghana to be able to recover any losses we may suffer in the future by pursuing an action against Miracle. This is pure fraud. It can't happen in any country. Now, on why we are talking about the assets of ECG in this matter and all that, and the way forward. You see, government told us something. Give us 30 days. Let us investigate this matter. Having alleged fraud, which, as a matter of tried legal learning, we know is a vitiating factor. Fraud vitiates all.
Having alleged fundamental breach.
First. Which was later amended into fraud.
Not amended. The sector minister claiming it was fraud on the demand guarantee. And then by the investigations.
Now, defectiveness.
The report submitted by government, you have a defective guarantee.
Okay. Now, you remember that at the end of the 30 days, the Minister of Information told us that government's report was ready and that they were preparing it. The FTI report, which was commissioned by MIDA, a government agency, has also been ready. We have all that here. Government has not spoken on the matter. And yet, at the expense of the taxpayer, Peter Amiwu and other government officials are traveling to Philippines to meet Miracle, a company they claim has defrauded them. Angola, to meet Energia SA, a company they claim has defrauded them, and a company which is currently in a broil with Angola authorities because only last month, 6 September, 13 of their contracts were rescinded by the Angolan authorities, and I have all the stories here. Energia SA. They traveled there to meet these companies secretly at the expense of the taxpayer. They come back.
But you are aware that there are some negotiations going on.
Let me tell you why the Americans are not accepting that.
A bit of sufficient particulars about that.
When you are coming to equity, you come with clean hands. This is Peter Amiwu. You just played this tape, saying that PDS is a private company. We have no role or interest in their restructuring. Yet this letter, which Kweku has agreed, is authentic. The 14th October letter, you check the last paragraph, it talks about restructuring of PDS. And Kweku has confirmed that indeed government is interested in diluting the shares of some of the shareholders. So it means that government is interested in the restructuring of the shareholding of PDS. Amiwu is lying. Number two, we know from Ken Ofori-Attah's letter to Akoto Ampao that government had an interest in the shareholding structure of PDS. And so what Amiwu is saying cannot be true. But what did they seek to do at first? They wrote to the company, restructure, proposed that TBK and other Otinjesi and other Ghanaian players be introduced.
And let's be careful. I think that.
Okay, fine. I will not mention their names. Okay, fine. I have the letter that I know why.
You have which letter? Where is it?
I take a cue from you. I will drop that. But let me.
Otinjesi has spoken.
No problem.
And said he has absolutely nothing to do with this.
But at least I can talk about TBK because you can see them in the parliamentary agreement when that is not reflecting at MIDA, raising a serious issue that will be revisited area.
Yeah, you should conclude.
Now, the point here is that you first of all sought to introduce your friends and cronies. We know who they are. That didn't go through. It led to boardroom wranglings. Secondly, you suspended this deal on the basis of fraud and all that, investigated this thing, you have not been able to take any position, and then you come and say, I want to bring in government or state entities. The Americans don't trust the Ken Ofori-Attah, Amiwu, Akufo-Addo government. They don't trust them. That is why the resistance is coming in. Because they are aware of all the clandestine, arm twisting, and boardroom wranglings which have gone on with their active participation. It is that lack of trust, that lack of integrity, truthfulness, and sincerity, as you can see Amiwu doing, that is eliciting the kind of resistance from the Americans. So I just want to conclude. Something, just let me conclude by saying,
you should really conclude.
by saying that as it stands now, ECG is in jeopardy. We have given to ECG to an animal called PDS with no bank or insurance guarantee, no competent one. The companies that we thought were going to be the shareholders of PDS have all run away. Miracle has run away. They have formed new SPVs which are separate and distinct from them. Forget about the fact that they are shareholders.
Okay, so you are repeating.
They want to go so that they want to escape risk.
All right, thank you.
This is something our government should not have consented
to.
Thank you. That is the point we are making.
Now, just some 30 seconds on it. What do we know about this letter? We now say, you know, it's authentic. There are confirmations coming on. It's authentic and so on. What do we know about the outcome of what the letter sought to do? It was seeking to convene an urgent board meeting, and it was the foreign entity shareholder that wanted this happening, and it wanted to deal with 4 issues: the suspension of the PDS concession. It wanted to deal with resolution of the issue on the demand guarantee, and then it wanted 3 issues actually. And then he wanted to deal with corporate governance and management processes. This meeting was supposed to have happened on the 18th. Yesterday. That is yesterday. What do we know? Because as they gave the assurance that they were sure that they would resolve these issues.
Sorry, the last paragraph says, with the support of MIDA and under a restructured PDS, we hope to re-establish the trust and confidence of the government of Ghana.
Thank you.
What we know, I think, is this. It's government's increasing efforts to try and resolve this matter in a way that preserves PDS. In short. Now, that simple statement is very packed, because you ask yourself, what is government's business trying to help somebody on the other side? So if you ask me, what do we know? I think, and I don't say this to say they are doing the wrong thing.
From the information Kweku supplies, it is contrary to what you are suggesting.
No, see.
That government effort increasing, as you suggest, is rather to preserve PDS.
No, hold on. Resolve. I said to resolve.
And you use the word
in a way that preserves PDS.
Preserves PDS. Yes. And I said that is contrary to the information Kweku gives us.
Yes.
Contrary to what he has seen as the documentation signed.
So let me finish.
By the other side, and government is refusing to sign because it wants PDS out of the way.
I think government wants
totally diminished.
Government wants a resolution of this matter. That is correct. No. 2, the Americans want the concession retained. Okay? In the absence of government resolving this matter in a way that retains PDS and the concession, government wants to introduce institutional investment that removes PDS. And the Americans don't want that.
Okay.
So this letter is government's effort at resolving, hopefully in a way that preserves PDS, so that everything will be fine.
Okay.
But that one, I personally think, is not government's business.
All right.
So look, let us reopen this thing up. And by the way, please, setting up an SPV to prosecute some contract on your behalf is not wrong. What I think should have been done was to subject it to the other principal, for instance, the government of Ghana, so they can check the bona fides and do the due diligence.
All right.
So government should stop trying to resolve the other party and insist on the terms of the agreement being respected or it being cancelled, and bring in other people who are acceptable to the Americans.
Thank you very
much.
Yes. Thank you. Sorry. Don't come in again. Yes. Markin, how are we resolving these issues in the face of the revelations that are coming forward? People want us to get out of the limbo, and that the government has been too long and silent, because the initial posture was clear that the government was going to be swift, decisive on this issue.
All right, thank you. First of all, our friends in the NDC appear to be inconsistent and seem not to know exactly how to approach this matter. They are being very petty on the issue. My friend Jinapo says that if the deal is fraudulent, it should be cancelled. You hear Sami claiming on authority that there is fraud.
I'm not sure I said that.
You see, taking a cue from what Mr. Kwekubaku said, I'm trying to go back to 2013 when we went to Parliamentary. Dr. Kotose, Che Mensa Bonsu, E.T. Mensa, Dr. Kumbo, they call us the young ones. Look, there are times that on national issues, you take a stance far away from your partisan interest. And I think that counseling must go to the NDC. Look here. In all the submissions of Sami Jemfi, the impression he created was that, one, government was controlling this whole transaction. And that is not correct. This is a MIDA matter. The whole thing was done by MIDA and had nothing to do with government. Two, you again brought back this, your old...
You have been told that MIDA is government, really, or...
But you and I know that is not true. By the structure of
MIDA, it is government represented.
You and I know that is not correct.
How?
You and I know that that is not correct. Because if it is MIDA is government, then government wouldn't have had its own investigations and MIDA separately having its own investigation on a matter. If government is MIDA and MIDA is government and government controls MIDA and everything about MIDA is government, then of course there would have been one report.
MIDA government, MIDA is Attorney General, is Finance Ministry, is Energy Ministry, and just two, is it private, participation, as a private company participation. Mm-hmm. So that's the argument, really. It is just government coming together.
That is not correct. I mean, I'm making the point that if from what you are saying,
factually, by the representation, it is difficult to say it is incorrect.
Well, that is your view. But I'm saying that if MIDA is the same as government, or government has controlling interest in MIDA, why the two separate investigations? Why? Because one investigation by MIDA, which the Americans initiated, suggested that, look, there is nothing really untoward. Let the system go on. Government initiated an investigation, and government said, look, let us take immediate steps to terminate this. We are not comfortable with this. So that's a matter of fact. Do you disagree?
I don't.
Good. Now let me come back to the NDC. You see, Samson, this issue of family and friends, chronism and all that, I think it is time we dealt with it once and for all. Sami created that impression again to mislead people. And you and I know, and he knows. Or this morning he's come with a lot of documents. Perhaps he should look for more documents. The records are clear that this government did not do anything to change what was already in existence 2015 all the way till we came into office in 2017. What the government rather did was to change the share, propose strongly that instead of 2080, it should be 51%, 49% for Ghanaians to benefit. That instead of the tenure being 25 years, it should be 20 years. All these were done for the benefit of Ghanaians. Now, who was the first to announce the suspension? Was it not government? When the whole issue of enhanced due diligence was done, by the way, who initiated it? The board chair of ECG. The Keligajebo you have been attacking. He initiated, it was his letter to find out about the issue of the guarantee. And when government got the response, government did not sleep. You cannot allege fraud on the part of government.
The critics say you don't deserve any praise in a self-inflicted situation to say that I create a problem and I'm resolving it, so praise me.
Okay, thank you. I will respond to the critics. Government did not create a self-inflicted situation. There was a time-bound situation here. A compact that was supposed to take off by 1st of March. We came to inherit the process. We didn't delay it from 2014, 2015, 2016. We came in. The deadline had been set by an external party who, out of benevolence, says that I want to help you restructure your power sector. But listen, we've given you enough time by 1st of March. If you don't do this, the money will go away. So government was constrained by time. As a result, certain conditions were made precedent, certain conditions subsequent, all in the interest of Mother Ghana and Ghanaians. And I'm saying that as part of effort in ensuring that the conditions subsequent were met squarely, government continued with the enhanced due diligence. And government must be credited for taking those steps. What if Kelly had not written that letter to the insurance company to confirm or validate what they had issued? Now, who are the family and friends and who are the cronies? This Santa Baron they've been talking about. Santa Baron won a $275 million contract at the NDC for security supplies. Is he a company, so a formidable business entity, a formidable businessman who has his track record? The Sikkens group and those individuals behind these entities, are you saying they are men of straw? They were participants in the transaction before this government came into being.
The FT report will show that they were either men of straw, or with
respect,
or that at the time they didn't have the investment that was required.
With respect, Samson, if there were other men of straw in the whole transaction, they were there before this government came into being. Somebody should show me evidence that when MPP came, the MPP introduced Mr. A, Mr. B into the whole setup. I want that evidence to indict government that when we came into office, we introduced the so-called men of straw to participate in this transaction. It is not true. The NDC must be consistent and get things right. This is a fact-based platform. You can't go round just because you want to tag this government of some corruption of a sort. Now let me come to the issue of restructuring. You see, the point Uncle Kweku Baku made, I would repeat so that others would again understand it. Government has taken a position that, look, with all these things going around, we are not comfortable. This thing must go. Of course, there are other partners. It is not government alone in this transaction. You have somebody who is coming in with funds to help you in your power sector. The power sector is a critical sector in this economy. Businesses lost their investment because we didn't have regular and consistent power supply. Households lived in an uncomfortable situation because we didn't have regular power supply. So this is an external party coming in to help you, giving you conditions. If it were to be left with government alone,
coming in to help you solve a problem you have already solved, for which you are actually paying a lot of money. And you see, the group that is specifically, that has been following this issue, and Kofi Bentil is here, they continue to say that the money that was supposed to come in, not one cedi, they keep repeating, has come in from these parties who are supposed to come in. And that we bent back forward so many times to accommodate, entities that didn't seem to qualify for anything. And even the technical expertise, they have questions about that.
Samson, you see, I have a lot of respect for Mr. Bentil. I follow him in his debates. On this PDS matter, is one area I strongly disagree with him. I've not really seen a consistent path in his submissions, and I'll tell you why.
The convener of that group is a spokesperson of the NPP.
Forget about all those things. I'm saying we are talking about the position taken, and I'm saying that what they are saying and what I'm seeing and the facts, do not gel. There isn't anything I would consider as considerable enough and compelling enough for government to listen to.
Is there a campaign that led to the reduction in 25 years to 20 years, and also to the increasing of the Ghanaian participation, Ghanaian stake? Is there a campaign that led to that?
Let me make my point. We have dealt with the issue of bank guarantee and insurance guarantee. It is one of the points they claim government bent backwards. And this morning, Sami has repeated it, forgetting that there has been an education on this platform. The bank guarantee and insurance guarantee are one and the same. It has, yes, it has been said.
There's still a dispute.
Well, that dispute should rage on.
But
in substance, I contend that they are the same. They serve the same purpose. So you cannot tell me that one is lesser than the other. It's a matter of fact.
What your critics have asked about that issue is that if they were the same, why did it take them so long having a difficulty raising a bank guarantee, only later to now rely on an insurance guarantee, which has also now turned out to be defective?
The PURC delay related was critical.
Okay. The tariff...
yes.
Okay, go ahead. Finish your point.
You know, PDS was supposed to issue a guarantee. That guarantee was issued by its local bankers. Local bankers had to reinsure, and that reinsurance was done by accuses. Now, don't let us lose sight of the primary duty of PDS. Why? There is a duty on me to provide a guarantee. I've contacted my local bankers. My bankers have issued an instrument to back the transaction. But they have reinsured just in the event that they call on the facility, they would also have a cover. How then do you attack that particular position? Now, on the issue of they've not brought a cent on, you see, Kofi, I beg of you, what does the agreement say? Does the agreement say that immediately bring in X amount, or it says that within a period? You see, when we are all debating and we say that we want to let the facts out, let us state them not in a convenient manner to our feelings, but let's state them the way they are. Please, with respect, I didn't interrupt you.
We don't have time. He will just conclude, and then we'll end here and come to the next issue.
It is not true. It is not true that there was an obligation to make available 500 million immediately the agreement is signed.
Nobody has said
no, that is the impression. I'm not saying you can make a statement and create an impression.
It's $100 million.
I am saying, Samson, Samson, the 100, it is 500 million within a period.
That's right.
580, yes, I've written it here. Yes, it's
over 5 years.
Yes, over 5 years. And I'm saying that 580 over 5 years. If you create the impression that upon signing, you are a lawyer, upon signing, 100 million must be in the account, it's a different matter.
Not in that account.
No, it should be available at the point of signing. It's a different matter. The position of the agreement is that 580 over 5 years.
Every year.
Exactly. Every year. Thank you. I'm happy with that. So don't create that impression. And I'm saying that is where I have a problem with Mr. Bentel. He created the impression that they are
guarantees.
You see, you are a lawyer. You don't do this. Allow when I keep quiet for you to make a point. Don't do this. Let me tell this. Accepted it. Oh, no problem. We have round 2 and 3. If you want to initiate it, you know I can handle that perfectly. I am saying that, Mr. Bentel, on this platform, don't create the impression that a party has defaulted in his obligation to make available $100 million for this transaction. Don't create that impression. If you have not said so in explicit terms, then don't create that impression. And that is what you have been doing all along. Now, the issue of institutional participation. How do you forward government? Government's prime object, intent, had been to give space for Ghanaians to participate in this whole transaction. Why? You know Ghana bauxite, you know Ghana manganese, you know these oil fields that we give concessions to. When the concession agreement is entered into, these beneficiaries hold these documents to look for funds to inject and to run. Is anybody contesting that? At Ghana bauxite, I have worked there. At Ghana manganese, I have worked there. Their concession, the agreement that Ghana government had with them, that is what they use, take it to their bankers. look for investors, look for financiers.
The one who is bringing you the money is bringing you the money on a policy of PSP, private sector participation. Does that not bring you, don't you introduce a difficulty when you are going to hand it to government agencies?
And government is arguing that that would, the Americans being opposed, said, look, that could be an interim step for a while and then find ways of putting IPO again. So
why don't
no, but they are in a tight. I'm saying, look,
now, let's ask them.
Gentlemen, may you allow me to make a point for all of you?
Yeah, so in 2 minutes, sorry, in 2 minutes, yeah. In 2 minutes, let's have our finish up. In 2 minutes. And don't react to anybody. State your own point.
Meanwhile, you will stop them too.
No, 2 minutes. You don't have too much time. So please go on.
So the point I was making, which all of them on this table agree, including you, is that when we sign a concession agreement and the beneficiary of that document has possession, it becomes it bona fide. It uses that to facilitate its obligation in that contract, including raising of funds and all that. Now, you see, Sammy, you made a point that I think I need to react to in my conclusion. And that is, you suggested that the Americans mistrust government intent. And that is as a result of that mistrust that they seem not to be cooperating with government intention to get the whole agreement terminated. But you see, in your earlier submission,
I didn't use the word terminated.
In your earlier submission,
restructuring.
Whatever, restructure, whatever. In your earlier submission, the position of your party, the position of senior members of your party has been that there is fraud. Now, granted that that is the case and the only way to redeem it is to terminate, what again is your worry? Won't you be right? Won't you be demonstrating patriotism by agreeing with government and telling the Americans that, look, all of us, the government, opposition, stakeholders, have a problem with this agreement and we want this whole thing terminated, support our government to terminate.
Have I said
rather than
the contrary?
No. Do you support the position of government to get this terminated?
All right.
No, do you?
How soon? Sorry, don't come in again. How soon do you think the government will bring a closure to this matter? Because it's been, is it a month again or more after the 30 days timeline?
You see, there are two parties in this whole agreement: government of Ghana and the American government. You don't act alone. You must build consensus. And that is why I agree with Mr. Baku on his call on the opposition to avail itself, particularly the NDC, to avail itself for further discussion on this matter with government.
His call is not for the opposition to avail itself, but for the government to reach out and ensure
if I say avail itself, it means we've reached out. Relax, with respect. If I say opposition to avail itself, I'm trying to suggest to you that we have reached out to them. They are refusing to avail themselves. To understand the facts. I am telling you. I am telling you. Maybe you are not finding out from your seniors in Parliament.
Who is not asking for you to reach out to them to understand facts?
No.
But for you to reach out to them, to them to have a plan, to negotiate, to talk.
Samson, wait. Let me state this. As we speak, it appears that the position taken by the NDC on this matter is as a result of their inability to appreciate the issues better.
They'll disagree with you.
No, fine, that's fine. No problem. And I'm saying that government has reached out to the appropriate unit within their party in Parliament responsible for understanding this. It is for them to avail themselves and not continue with the partisan politicking of this matter.
All right, thank you.
If they do, they would appreciate it and even commend government for the steps taken so far.
Thank you very much.
There's a deadline. These negotiations between the Ghanaians and Americans, they have a deadline which is October 30th, 2019. But as I said, Ghana has not signed.
All right,
Americans
that's very useful. That's very useful. October 30, I'm sorry. We'll take a break.
That
when
is to
we return,
resolve the matter. We'll
interrogate and demand strict proof of the NDC of the allegations of government training a militia at Asuchari for the 2020 elections. We'll be right back.